Let's go with Doug. Thank you.
Doug Smith of the Toronto Star. I guess you really didn't have to worry about how your young guys, Pascal and Freddie, would handle the enormity of the moment. They're both, how do you think they played?
They were both really good. Especially, obviously, Pascal had a big offensive night. I thought he played with really good composure, right? He got to his spots and got on balance and was patient. And when he needed to go quick and get around him, he did as well. And he had a couple of real tough ones go in for him as well. But Freddie did a good job. Freddie worked hard defensively, played a lot of minutes on Curry. And I know Curry had 34, but Freddie made him work for him.
Nick, Dan Weinke with the Los Angeles Times. Centers like Marc Gasol aren't always able to stay on the court against a team like the Warriors. How was he able to be so effective tonight?
Well, he's a really good defender, right? And a lot of that comes from, I always say it, a lot of it comes from desire to be a good defender and the want to stay on the court, right? But I think his IQ is really high. He knows how to get out there. And he's shown over the last few games, or maybe more than that he's pretty good when he gets a mismatch on a shooter. He went up in the last series and guarded Middleton really well on, when there'd be a breakdown and he'd end up way out on the floor on those guys, and I thought he did a decent job on some of those guys tonight. Just really good reactions.
Nick Nurse inside. We talked pregame about this Warriors streak of Game 1 wins, which stood at 12 before the night began, and the Raptors' woeful history in Game 1s in any round of the playoffs, 3-15 all time. All that has been reversed now.
I told you it works against you now.
It could. I mean, eventually it's going to. Yeah. Well, but I thought the place was nuts. If you were here for the anthem, it was really like tingles down your spine kind of stuff. Well, they handled the emotion. They played really smart.
That's because they got a cyborg out there with them. Listen, they followed this young man. Siakam was obviously the key to the game tonight. But as we talked about in the pregame, when you have, like Danny Green just said, he says, we feel pretty good. We got Kawhi.
Yeah.
When you have a guy like that, he lifts air like, we can beat anybody, because 99.9% of the time we're going to have the best player in the game. Anytime you have the best player in the game, you have a chance.
Yep.
So Kawhi gives them a certain amount of confidence. The other guys feed off it. His crowd was amazing. He talked about how Coach Nurse, and I've said this before, there are a lot of coaches who don't give you confidence. They take your confidence away. Like when you make a mistake, they snatch you out the game. And that builds up, and it gets in your head. Danny Green said that. We didn't even ask him that question. He said, Coach Nurse, he gives us that freedom. He empowers us, and that was awesome to hear.
But remember, Nick Nurse ran a play for him in overtime in the Eastern Conference Finals when he was, again, 4 of 23 from three-point range. That really does inspire confidence.
Well, they were up 25 when they did it, though.
Well, it was in overtime.
I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
They were so good and so smart in the first quarter of the game when they really seized control, and Kawhi hadn't even played that well to that point. Is that a testament to some of the veteran guys on this team? Does it say something about maybe rust from the Warriors' point of view? They had that long layoff. How did you view that?
I mean, look, the Warriors scored 109 points. So, I mean, they came out and did a decent job, but you have to tip your hat to Toronto. And the narrative was, okay, they haven't been on this stage before. This franchise has come up short. But the bottom line, as you said, you have veterans. You got Danny Green, who was he's been in finals. He's hit big shots in the NBA finals. Marc Gasol has been in the conference finals.
Yeah.
You have guys, Kyle Lowry has experience. I mean, these guys aren't young players. Obviously, Siakam is a young player and played fantastic tonight. But collectively, as a group, you have experience. And maybe not the same exact experience in terms of what Golden State's done. But they came out, they weren't phased. There was emotion here in the building. There was a lot of build-up and excitement leading into this game. And they came out and took care of business. They came out like they were the defending champs.
Right.
And really sent a message, punched him in the mouth, and just as impressive of a performance that I've seen them have in the postseason, which is saying a lot because they've had some really good games leading up to this one.
They were great defensively, and I thought appropriately aggressive offensively. Like when Golden State either doubled or shaded toward Kawhi Leonard. They made the right play, whether it was the first pass or the second pass, and Siakam never hesitated. Whether the shot was easy or hard, he went for it all night long, and obviously he was knocking him down.
Yeah, Siakam, we're talking about him being the most improved player in the league, and offensively in college at New Mexico State, he was a really good offensive player. And this is not, abnormal. This is what he's capable of doing. I thought they read the defensive schemes correctly. Whenever Golden State trapped Kawhi, they found a way to get Siakam the basketball. And Draymond Green, who normally plays like a middle linebacker, reading everything, he plays off people. I didn't think that he gave Siakam enough respect early in the game. Consequently, Siakam got open. And once he got confidence, he really got to roll him. Yeah. And once he got to roll him, right, now you watch him here, he's getting wide open warm-up threes. And these are the type of things that really get you going. He's open in transition, great transition player, finishes at the rim, get down, left hand finish, right hand finish around the basket. And once he starts doing this stuff, right, now you got the Euro. Yeah. I thought when Draymond tried to shut him down, Siakam had got too much confidence and it was difficult for him to stop. And he ended up, 14 to 17 from the field.
Wow.
And when you go 14 to 17 from the field in a championship playoff game, Charles, you know this, you're doing some stuff. Not only are you on fire, but you might stay on fire because, that confidence that stays with you for a long time in the finals.
But what's interesting about this series obviously got a long way to go. I'm looking at this stat sheet, and I talked about before the game, where are the Warriors going to get their points from? Where are they going to get their points from without KD? I mean, yeah, I'll give you Clay and Steph. Sure. I'll give them 30. I'll give them 35. That's only 70. Like, all these other guys are good players, but they're not scorers.
Right.
So you got to wonder, like, how are they going to score enough points to beat this team 4 times in a week? And I thought one of the reasons I picked the Raptors was because of that. Like I say, Clay and Steph got to play like hell's out. They got to go. They got to ball. They got to do it.
They got to play like what?
They got to like the house. Well, I want to get a little ghetto on you, but I don't want to hurt you. I know you ain't never been to the ghetto.
What was that phrase?
You got. You
grew up like what?
Well, I want to say another.
No, just
phrase.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Matt,
You good.
Stop it.
You good. Go.
Stop it, Ernestine Johnson.
Keep making your point. You good.
Thank you. But you wonder because you look at all these other guys. There's no guy on this list that you say he can get me 20.
Well, there's a guy, but he only played 8 minutes tonight because he's coming from an injury. DeMarcus Cousins.
Oh, he's not going to get 20 this series.
No, not this series.
No. Hey, listen, I have a rule on I call it the Michael Jordan theory. Michael Jordan came back in the playoffs and couldn't do it. Nobody can do it. He can't. You don't just walk off the street and just play against
after
NBA
6 weeks.
After 6 weeks, because obviously, if there's something wrong with your legs, you ain't running in conditioning. As you notice, if you watch the game, and I be watching for solo things, he was trying to pass the ball.
He was.
Like, he wasn't trying to make that move because these guys know it takes a lot of energy to try to score in the NBA. And he was conserving his energy. He's like, I'm gonna make passes.
He only took 2 shots in 8 minutes.
And both of those were like little jumpers.
Yep.
Because he didn't want to extend his energy level.
Right.
Well, I agree with you, Chuck. I mean, scoring is going to be a problem, and maybe they have to shift their strategy in the sense that they're going to have to focus on their defense. And I thought tonight they had such an emphasis on Kawhi Leonard that the rest of the guys were open and they took advantage of it. And I don't know, maybe you stay at home with the Danny Greens and the Gasols and you play Kawhi straight up.
Do you make Kawhi prove his legs are healthy?
I think so. Maybe that's the adjustment you have to make if you're Golden State. Because, look, you're right. They may not be able to go out and score 120, 130. It may be, okay, hover around 100, 110, and let's shore things up on the defensive end. Because I agree, offensively, I don't know if they can match this type of scoring effort from Toronto that we saw here in Game 1.
By the way, what year is this? The Golden State can't score?
I know, it sounds crazy.
What's going on here?
No, it doesn't sound crazy. I mean, if you
I completely get it. With this team, the way they are right now,
Yeah, if you
with
look-
who's not there.
But over
Yeah,
the last
well,
4 or 5 years, you haven't heard that.
Yeah,
No, you haven't heard.
you're
Well, you haven't heard
you're
that because
missing,
team is
Durant was
different.
in.
you're missing 35 points.
no,
Yeah.
I get it.
But
I
not
get
only-
it.
but
It's
not
just
only
we
that,
haven't
but-
heard that throughout this
Yeah,
run
but-
under Steve Kerr.
Yeah,
but this,
go
this
ahead.
Toronto team defensively, and
Great.
we've said it all year. This is one of the best defensive teams that this Golden State Warriors teams have ever placed in the playoffs and in the finals in these last 5 years. I mean, again, we talk about they got 6 guys, possibly 7, going to be first, second team all defensive players in this league. And when you're looking at Golden State. Right now, they got Steph, they got Clay, and you see the defenders that are,
And a bunch of Tito Jacksons.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to score against this Toronto team, and it's going to get increasingly more difficult as this series goes on. As we saw when they played against Cleveland, and they were up against Cleveland 3-1. What Cleveland did, they slowed the tempo down, they got better defensively, and that's what we saw here tonight with Toronto. Toronto slowed the tempo down. I mean, Golden State, they only got up 78 attempts. I mean, this is a team that normally is in the high 80s, right? They get 78 attempts tonight, and this is the style of play that they're going to have to play. And I think Toronto is better at this tempo, defensively and offensively, at this tempo than Golden State is.
They're 12th out of the 16 playoff teams in terms of pace of play. This is exactly the way they want to play. And what you guys are saying here, and it's easy to overreact after one game. We do this every year, right? But what you're saying doesn't bode well for the Warriors right now because, again, Cousins is not going to be DeMarcus Cousins. It doesn't appear during this series. We don't know when or if Kevin Durant is going to play at all. And the Warriors' defense, going back to the regular season and into this postseason, has never been what it was the previous 4 years.
Yeah, the defense is more on reputation. I don't want to say the defense is not good, but like you said, it's not as strong as it has been in years past. But as you were saying, Isaiah, this is why you miss a Durant, because as great as a Curry and Klay Thompson are, and they are fantastic, but they're not the kind of guys you just give them the ball and say, go get a basket.
No.
Yeah.
Durant was that guy,
Yep.
like a Kawhi Leonard, who you can give him the ball, ISO, and he can go get you a basket. I know people may say, what are you talking about, Steph Curry? Well, but Steph needs movement. He needs screen and rolls. And so he needs cooperation in that regard. Durant, he could bail them out. When they couldn't get the scoring going, you give him the basketball. He's going to get to the mid-range, get to the free throw line, hit tough shots with his length, and they don't have that right now, which is troublesome.
I think that sometimes there's a lot of really good players in the NBA. All NBA players can play, but there's only a handful of guys where you say, "Hey, here's the ball. Get me a good shot, a basket, or a foul."
Right.
Those are 3 things a superstar can get you. He might miss the shot, but he gonna get his shot.
Yeah.
He gonna score or he gonna get fouled. It's gonna be one of those 3. And I tell people, there's very few guys can do that.
Especially at this level.
At this level.
The NBA Finals,
Well, because you're playing against Kawhi Leonard.
Right.
Siakam, Danny Green, who's a hell of a defender, Mark Gasol, who's a hell of a defender. But there's very few guys in the NBA you can say, hey, here's the ball, get me a basket.
To your point,
Charles,
good.
Here's where, the analytics and the stats are misleading when they say, hey, Golden State passes more and the ball moves more when Durant's not in the game, right? Here's why that happens. Because when Durant is playing, you'll make 1, 2, 3 passes, and when it gets to him, it's a bucket.
Exactly right.
It's a bucket.
It's a good shot,
right?
at least.
Yeah.
So analytics says, well, you made 3 passes and you got a shot. Now, when Durant's not here, guess what? You got to pass it 5, 6, 7 times before you get a basket.
Right, more passing is not always a good thing.
Well,
But Isaiah, analytics, Golden State had 29 assists tonight. Toronto had 25.
Yes.
and they still lost Golden State.
So,
to your point.
so my point is, again,
you can make the numbers say what you want to.
yeah, and when it hits him at the 3rd pass, it's a bucket.
Right.
But when it doesn't, when he's not there, you got to make 5, 6 passes to get a bucket. And when you make 5, 6 passes, analytics say, well, you pass the ball more when Durant's not here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, of course you do. It's like when Magic was playing with Kareem, right? You throw it into Kareem, it's a bucket.
Yep.
Right?
Well, and to your point about creating shots, there was a play down here, I think in the 3rd quarter, where Klay Thompson had to dribble like 4 times That never happens, right? That never, ever happens because he was scrambling to get away from, I think it was Siakam on him at the time. We're going to take inside against Steve Kerr at the podium after a rare, almost unprecedented Game 1 loss.
Steve, the left side, front row for Mark.
Steve, Mark, Medina, Barry, and News Group. It looked like there were a lot of times throughout the game you guys were playing in mud. What do you think contributed to that
Playing
overall?
what?
Playing in mud.
Playing in mud?
Yeah. What do you think contributed to just the overall execution?
Well, their defense was great, and it wasn't our best night, but we just got outplayed. So simple as that. Move on to the next one.
And how's Andre doing?
I think he's doing okay, but we'll have an update tomorrow.
Next question to John in the front row on the right.
John Dickinson, 95.7 The Game. What in particular made Siakam and Gasol so effective against you guys tonight?
Well, Siakam was brilliant. I mean, he was hitting shots from everywhere. He hit 4 threes. He'd been struggling from the three-point line in the last couple of series, so he got that to go, and I think actually I'm wrong on that. He had 2 threes, but Gasol we left a couple times early in the game and didn't rotate. We just gave him a couple of dare shots and he knocked him down. So there's gonna be some openings. Those guys made their plays, made their shots. The biggest thing for me was our transition defense was just awful, and that's the game. That's the number one priority when you play Toronto. You have to take care of their transition, and we gave up 24 fast break points. We turned it over 17 times, so that's the game really. The other stuff, guys are going to make shots, miss shots. They're going to have good games. They're going to have bad games, but it's kind of the key points that you can take care of that are the most important, and we didn't take